course, the job seekers who come and interview with you are probably nervous. But the truth is, you are probably a little nervous too as you initiate the interview. It makes sense that if you're not well versed in the ways of the military and a little bit unsure about the differences between some of the facts and stereotypes of military life, this can be a little nerve-wracking. I want to help you with that. It's important, and it's up to you to ask the right questions. And of course, that means avoiding asking the wrong ones. Not only is this an issue of making sure you conduct an impactful interview, but you also have to be careful that you do not ask any questions that are precluded by law. Needless to say, it's always a great idea to consult with your organization's attorneys to make sure your typical questions are consistent with the laws surrounding job interviews. That being said, there are only a few areas you should avoid that are particular to veterans. 1. What type of discharge did you get from the military? As you may already know, service members can receive several different characterizations of their service when they leave the military. However, except for some very limited situations typically related to federal contractors, this is a question you cannot ask. That being said, you of course can ask all sorts of questions about what he or she learned in the military and how it applies to the position that they are interviewing for. 2, will you be redeployed anytime soon? Or a related question, will you miss much work due to your military service? You may have seen on the resume that the applicant who you're talking to is in the Reserves or National Guard, but you're strictly precluded from asking about any sort of future deployments. It's against the law to discriminate against someone in the Reserves or the National Guard, and this question about a deployment is typically interpreted as discriminatory in nature. 3, anything related to potential combat injuries. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, it's illegal to ask applicants questions about disabilities, and also illegal to ask veterans questions about PTSD, traumatic brain injury, whether or not they see a psychiatrist, or if they were even injured in combat. Of course, you can ask them about their training and education and whether they can perform the minimum requirements for the job. And finally, never, never, never ask a veteran if they killed somebody. It may sound obvious to you, but this is a question often posed to veterans. So these are the main questions and areas to stay away from. Of course, you should always prepare your questions for the interview in advance and take the time to carefully read over the candidate's resume before the interview. It's also important for you to ask the same questions of every candidate, and that way you can ensure you're comparing apples to apples. Now, go out there and enjoy that impactful interview.